All right. Let's try it again. See if Restream wants to work here. Maybe. Maybe gonna work this time? Question mark? We are. Oh my god, we're live. We work video coming through. Hey, wow, can't believe it. Don't know what happened with Restream the first time. So I do apologize for that. I had to take down the stream that I had up to begin with and remake what's going on, Jimmy. I'll give some time for people to get in here, not only because the first stream didn't work, but mainly because I don't want to be repeating myself or doing anything crazy. We are, directly an hour away from lock. Okay, notification went through there. Anybody asking myself anything? I don't see anybody asking anything in the Discord. Bobby just shared his exposures. So what I want to do here is also I was stuck in traffic, so I wasn't able to join Bobby and Sheets during their show. I'm going to walk through everything here. Now, the disclaimers. Now, there'll be lineups on the screen. That'll probably be good lineups, okay? I have no clue what I will end up playing in terms of a lineup tonight. I'm going to walk through everything I do to determine how I get to a certain lineup or whatever. I'm not going to show the lineup that I end up playing. I think that's mainly it. Just because there'll be a lot of lineups on the screens. I'm sure any of those would be good if you're one of those guys who are like, oh man, X website is working their sims and they're showing these lines. Like, I'm sure they are good lines. Okay. There'll be points to where you probably have a good feel of who I'm going to play as captain, who I'm going to play in the flex. Okay. A little bit of a backstory or a little bit of history for those that don't know how I play or what I normally do is, at least for NFL, I have found more success in Showdown. So I only play Monday night Showdown, Thursday night Showdown, sometimes Sunday morning Showdown, and sometimes Sunday evening. Okay, but usually it's Monday and Thursday. Secondly, I only run one lineup. All right. Now, typically it's like $110 in entry fees throughout whatever slate it is. So it's like 300 a week on that, plus whatever I'm doing in NASCAR, NFL, or F1, esports, whatever. But that's usually the plan for NFL. It's usually like 300 a week just on showdowns, right? So like for today, for example, I'm in the Big 15. You know, I don't give a shit about that contest. I'm just in it. If I play the optimal, it's going to be there. I'm in the 33. I'm in all the $15 single entry contests. Those are what I focus on. So I'm going to go in and have $110 on one lineup. That's how I play NFL. Okay, I've done that for years. Tried some of the 20 maxes and stuff on Showdown earlier this year. Didn't like that. Just defaulted back to what I know. So now that that's all out of the way, okay, now we can go in. So if you have any questions or anything, I may not answer them, or it may not be what's on topic, or somebody might just stumble in here and I'll be like, go back and rewind and watch at 2x or whatever to get to where you're at. I just want to get all that out of the way so everybody knows where I'm at. So I have not looked at this slate since yesterday when I was recording the SaberSim video. All I know, I know like rough stuff because I've listened throughout the day, but I have not personally looked at this slate. You're going to see that I have two builds here, and that's when I was running the SaberSim video. So we're just going to go ahead and delete these big bad boys and literally start from scratch. I don't remember what contest this is or what I did this to. So I don't even know. What is this one? Can I rename it? Nope. Oh, this is the $15, the 1960. This is the 25K bubble screen. Okay. And yet again, this is just for the video, but the other one I'm going to add, yet again, I don't like, oh, sure. I have the contest reserved. I could pull the DraftKings CSV. I don't want to. Okay. Just where I'm at, because I'm doing my entire process here. I know this is the 15 single entry. That's the smaller one. It's not the $200, or it's not the 200 person one. It's just the 1900. So I know this one is the 33. This is the other contest sim that I care about. I'm only going to be using these two, and it's probably going to be, just be longer. It is called the 150K bootleg. Let's see. Here we are. Okay, so yet again, field size 5,300. 33% of this contest is going to first. 19% of the contest is paid out. It's 150 max. Now, why would I be entering one single lineup in a 150 max? Well, typically I'm usually good enough to cash in these, and I think the 33 is probably one of the better contests to enter as a guy with one lineup, because you're against a lot, 150 like McLovin, whatever. Fine, I'm playing against those guys and everything. Like McLovin's and everything, right? It doesn't matter. But there's usually enough bad lineups in the 33 to make it end up like realistically paying out like the top like 23, 24%, because you have a lot of dead lineups right off the bat. Okay, so these are two contest sims I'm using. That's all we're looking at. All I know is like Puka is in, right? I'm, I very quickly just kind of looked over props and stuff for Puka. Okay, at least I know one site, or one sports book. I don't even remember. I'm seeing like over-unders at like 2.5 receptions, 29.5 yards, 33.5 yards, whatever, right? Where I'm at, I don't think Puka's going to be involved. Okay, so like, hey, my slate may be determined right then and there. SaberSim has him projected for 7.9. Okay, if that's anywhere near the props, anywhere near the realistic projection that he does, yet again, he hasn't played since week 1, whatever. I think Puka's unplayable. Okay, so that's just where I'm at. I haven't made anything, haven't looked at any lines. I'm of the fact or of the opinion that Puka is pretty unplayable. So I will probably not be playing him. I'm not going to X him out, but I'm not going to play him. Now, if you've watched the SaberSim video that I made the other day, this may seem familiar to you of what I'm going to do. It may not, because I basically did, or I uploaded this, my process the other day. It has 56 views, so maybe people watched it. Okay, so we're just going to build 5,000 lineups right off the bat. I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and use Sheets just because, actually, when was Sheets last updated? Just so I'm doing this on the screen so everybody can see how I use the projections and stuff, because I'm importing what is in there, but I just want to see the last time this was updated by Sheets. 1710. That is, forgive me, that was on blank. 13 is 1, 14 2, 15 3, 15 3, 14 16 4, 17 5, 5 10 Eastern time, which would be 6:10 my time. Okay, so just updated. Let me just go ahead and make sure that these. Now this is for his main, like this is the contest for the big, or his ownership for the big contest. 1972. Who was that really fast? Sam Darnold flex. Let me see. That's October. I'm an absolute baboon. So I'm rocking Goldie. Might actually just be a moron. So we're gonna rock Goldie here, because I can at least confirm that is for this one. 19.2. Just updated. Okay, so got all that done. Go ahead and typically all I do is I go to the least lowest projected guy, because typically we are not really worried about those guys. Those two that I change, we're going to build this right here. Now, while this loads, just from the outside looking in, yet again, we have an hour until lock. I'll probably be here for at least half an hour, if not 40 minutes. I'm going to probably end with 20 minutes before lock. I'm going to let this build its entire thing. I just want to see where everything's coming up at. I'm pretty sure, just entering this slate, I'm either going to run Jefferson or Cooper Kupp captains. I would be incredibly shocked if I don't run that. Apparently, Cooper Kupp is going to be lower owned in the captain. Okay. Various people have stated that. Various people have reported that in different shows. If that's the case, it seems like a good day to play Cooper Kupp in the captain if he's going to be severely under-owned. We look at exposure rates between the top 1,000 lineups right now. We have a pool of 5,000, and we see Aaron Jones currently right now, just sorted by the single game crap. Highest exposure here. He's only in 800 lineups. Not a real, I mean, that's, 25%, but we have 10% with Cooper Kupp, Jefferson. So I'm just kind of looking through of where we're at here. Typically, if you have low exposure to these guys, probably a bad captain. Josh, whatever this fella is, Oliver, 2,700 tight end, pretty bad captain. Probably do not want to play that. What I want to see is just the, upper top is where things are coming at. Yet again, Cooper Kupp seems to be misowned or underowned in the captain, especially when you have probably a guy he's going to compete with. Likely chance going to outscore Jones. Better play than Darnold. Williams is, being utilized pretty well with the Rams, but this is a pretty rare time you see Cooper Kupp be, the fifth highest guy, right? When we sort by, projected ownership that Goldie is using. I'm gonna go ahead and run the Sims, and I apologize. I've been fighting them dadgum allergies. I apologize. The sun's going down too. Might have to turn the light on because I might be in the dark very quickly here. Let me go ahead and do that really fast. Let me turn the light on while this runs. Give me like 12 seconds, por favor. Because of course I forgot, I'm like an hour and a half later than I usually prefer to record. I forgot to turn the light on. So right off the bat, ran the Sims. Yet again, the two Sims I'm looking at, the $15, 1,900, and the 33. That's the only two I want to use for all of this stuff. So I just want to see. I know this one is the 50. I know this is the 33. So I just want to see where we're at once we start sorting by that. Yet again, I haven't looked at Flex at all. I'm just wanting to look through kind of where these are at. What is the cash rate? Who's jumping up and down? I typically want to avoid those guys. So like Jones projecting high to cash, but in terms of win rate, he's probably going to drop. No, he's still up there. What are these lines looking like? 3, 6, 9, 11, 16, 19, 21. What are these? Got a bunch of Puka shit in there, which, yet again, I'm not playing Puka. Weird Minnesota stacks. That's win rate. So these are probably not going. We got no really limited Cooper Kupp, and we're looking at Jones and the captain. I'm not a big fan of that. Take him out. Yeah, like, is Cooper Kupp, like, just not fucking being played anywhere? Like, 31 on the flex. Seems like it does. That seems like absolute mistake here. So, nothing too crazy there. What's changing at the bottom? No, it's a 15. Let's just look at the 3 really fast. 3 changes to Kyren Williams. We're looking at pretty similar. Like, see, I just don't. Jones, Jefferson. I mean, like, we have a lot of Jones up here. We look at these lineups, and like, where are we at? Like, we got 5 projected tight end, very limited guys here. Like, this is not what I want to do. Ty Chandler, we don't even know if he's going to play. I mean, he is going to play. We know what I mean. Like, a projection of like fucking 5 isn't a real projection, or at least something I want to deal with. Continue to go through. Let me bring YouTube up on the side. Yeah, I see that. I guess Bobby loves Puka. I mean that's what's great about having different opinions and different people is you can have vastly different opinions. Um, so I'm seeing a lot of Jones here. So, yet again, from my stance, yet again, I'm doing single entry, just one lineup, 46 minutes left. I typically don't want to play the highest projected captain, especially when they're fucking running back. I hate playing running backs in the captain position. I really do. Limits ceiling because wide receivers have a much higher ceiling. And when you're building lineups, we're not playing quarterbacks unless we're stacking the entire field, unless you're stacking the entire team, right? The only time you do a 5-1 is most likely when you have the quarterback in the um, captain position. I don't want to play Jones. I don't want to play Williams because, even when we're just looking at the projections, right? Like Jefferson has a higher projection. We have Cooper Kupp, who is pretty much right in line with these guys, and Cooper Kupp is way cheaper than them. Like cheaper than Williams. Okay, he's more expensive than Jones. Typically, I like everything in just a flex. Like I have DraftKings over here on the left. I typically just look at the salaries from the flex position and work its way through there. So the big four seem to be at least the big five. We have Cooper Kupp, Sam Darnold, which I'm not going to play there, Jefferson, Williams, Jones. Okay, so Cooper Kupp, and also once we get down here, like this probably shows that Jordan Addison is probably a good play, right? Like a good play in the flex, especially when you have big name, big boy, big boy, big boy, then like a wide receiver two popping up out of nowhere, way better than like Tutu Atwell. Now we got to deal with like Puka and whatever. Yeah, Addison here. I mean, that probably indicates that we're going to see a Addison pretty much in the upper echelon. See, whenever I look at this stuff, like this is just a waste of time. Like 8 lineups, 430, like CJ Ham, Puka, Cam Akers, Hunter Long, Powell. Like, why even waste time building with these guys like that? Okay, so now I've kind of gone through and I can look at these. Let's just look at actually projections really fast. Just raw projections. So let's go. What changes here? See Sam Darnold. So it's a lot of the safer guys popping up. We see that these are like 96.3, 96.2, 96. What changes on these really fast? So we're looking at 96.2, 86, 89, 85. Okay, so we're probably, when I move to the next build, I'm probably going to want to be at least, and this isn't like a philosophy that I like or a rule that I follow or whatever, but I like to see what the difference is between the highest projected lineups and what the sims are saying is like a good lineup or whatever. And we're seeing a difference of like 5 to 6 points or whatever. So as I move forward in the next build, when I see a big shift between projected lineup and then like sim projected score or like when it's ranked and stuff, as long as it's within like 7 points, I'm not too nervous. If it's like 8 or like bigger, then it's like, okay, I probably don't want to do that line. But if I have a span from anywhere between like 1 to 6 points lower, I'm perfectly fine with that. So I go ahead and move on. Determine from here that it's probably just best to go ahead and build. What the heck is this? Okay. Probably just want to build lineups. I'm not using the quarterback, so I don't need to waste time building that. Actually, it's going to be easier. Like, why? Like, why? Like, Cooper Kupp is the highest projected motherfucker on the slate. Like, why would he not be played? What's going on here? Let's do. I want to see where these score. I'll probably do another one here once I get past this. Yet again, with 45,000 as the minimum salary, I'm not leaving $5,000 on the table. I'm never especially when I'm doing single entry stuff. I'm probably leaving like 300 or nothing like on the table when I'm building this one lineup at maybe 800. But fuck, bro, I'm not leaving like 1,300 or something on the table. So like for my usage of this, I'm perfectly fine like having a high amount of salary used, right? move that back. Let's see where things happen. So as I look here, I bring up the top 1,000. We saw Kyron move up when I went from like, top 20 is like default. He's not even in there. Look at top 100 just right off the bat of like SaberSim's ranking system, barely in there with 17 lineups. So like probably not going to use Kyron. So once this is ran, then we can kind of start looking through of where, actually, I guess I can do that now. Kind of want to see where in the salary we are at here. So like we're not running Rivers. So like if I see Rivers, if I see Smith, Hunter Long, Robert Tonyan, CJ Ham, like this is not a slate. And I think you need to go to the bottom of the salary, right? Like I don't think we need a punt here at all. All right. So now we're here. And yet again, the reason why I do a second build is because, we had 5,000 lineups here with like drastically different captains and stuff like that. So you might only have like 700 lineups with like, say, I don't know. I mean, I'll use Cooper Kupp for this example, but you may only have like 700 lineups in that first 5,000 with Cooper Kupp. Well, when I start going through and looking at 1v1s, I might not have every Cooper Kupp line imaginable. So it's difficult for me to rank where 1v1s are at if that lineup technically wasn't even made in that. So I moved to a second build to condense the captains and to have more precise lineups. Because basically what I use this for is just save my time so I don't have to manually dick around on DraftKings and be like, oh, what happens if I put this guy in the captain and I click through? I can just do that here and have, data to support if that's a good decision or a bad decision. Let me read chat really fast here. I don't adjust any aggregate metrics at all because I'm still hand building. I'm using this, but you can see that I'm practically still hand building just with, additional tool set or whatever. So now that we're in the situation and we're comparing these lineups head to head with just these four captains, I want to see who's popping up here. So you can see the exposure rate of Aaron Jones here, but as I said, he's probably going to be the most popular captain, which I just don't really get that from a freaking approach standpoint. But I want to see how close and how many, like we have Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, like what kind of where are these guys falling in line at? This is for. And also, once we get here, right, like when we look at this one, so like now we're simming against now we got like the real lineups, right? Like now we're doing like real shit. The first build, crap, not really worried about it. Now we're in this build and looking at the 15, and I look at ROI, standard deviation. This is the number one ranked lineup. Aaron Jones, captain. Cooper Kupp, Sam Darnold, Addison, Vikings defense, whatever the hell this guy is, right? I view this that if I was doing like a 20 max, or if you were like doing from this and you okay, I did the contest sims, I'm going to go ahead and, enter these top 20 lineups, and like some people do this, right? Like they'll just be like, okay, cool, I'm going to save these lineups and stuff. I don't like this lineup. I don't like it. I personally probably, if I was going to be very heavy on the Vikings, it's very unlikely Jones, if he's the best captain, well, then what the fuck is Darnold and like Addison doing there? Like, right? Like that doesn't make logical sense for me, viewing that, I like Stafford with Williams. Like, what is this? Like, it's there on raw points because you have both quarterbacks, the highest or the safer running back, but I don't really like these lineups, right? So at least in NFL, I've not, and yet again, maybe I didn't find success in the time that I was doing it, but I didn't enjoy doing that. Like, I don't like a lot of the lines that are like, this is ranked number one. I know for a fact, when I personally do this for like esports and stuff, I usually don't like the top lines that are being shown here. Okay. I really don't, because yet again, we're at 92.2 for that one. We look at highest projected score here. We're pretty close. This is 97.8. We've had some changes. I'm sure stuff updated, whatever. But dude, I'm not a big fan. Not a huge fan of that. So we're going back to cash rate. So what's changing here? So like here, probably another good lineup, probably, for this $15 sigma entry, this is expected to cash 40% of the time, which a bit aggressive. I think that you take that with a grain of salt and stuff, But using all the salary, you're gonna notice a lot of these lineups just use close to all the salary. Yet again, I'm not trying to not use that, so that's never a concern for me. But I'm just not a fan of these Aaron Jones lines at all. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is remove Jones from this. So we're gonna have gaps, But like, so if I remove Jones, okay, we have the other highest captains or the highest projected guys. Who's showing up then? When you remove Jones from that, it then goes Cooper Kupp, Williams, Jefferson. Okay, so yet again, another step or addition showing that, hey, Cooper Kupp is probably the captain I want to use. Okay, he's lower owned in the captain and on the field in general. You take the favorite of what the field is probably going to use or what's showing up in a lot of the results out. You don't have any like bullshit dudes in your thing. Like, we're just looking at the top guys. Who is the top guy at that point? It's heavily leading Cooper Kupp. What's right? Yeah, it's Cooper Kupp, then Jefferson, then Williams. Okay. So like that's kind of the first step. And I can look through and see kind of where we're at. And probably like all these lineups, especially once you start getting down to like this type of stuff, like these are all lineups that I would usually probably be considering. Going to be live for another probably 10 minutes, right? And so now, like, you can see, like, oh, now I could easily do, like, instead of wasting time hand building over here, I can just be like, hey, what are the lineups looking like when I use Cooper Kupp and Stafford together? And then I could just go through like, oh, okay, cool. These are all the lineups that I could build with him, et cetera, et cetera. This is a pool of 649, lineups and stuff. Now, yet again, if I want to go, more aggressive. So, like, at this point, I know for a fact, like, maybe it was biased or whatever. I kind of already knew I was going to play Cooper Kupp in the captain. This was kind of just typically what I do when I get to those situations here. But, like, I kind of already knew that going in just from listening to people. So, we're going to run another one. And actually, no, I'm using build 2 and this build I'm using Saber Sim and not Goldie stuff. That's why the projection was a little bit higher. But now I know for a fact I'm running Cooper Kupp captains, right? Okay, so now we got to figure out what lineups can I actually consider playing, right? So at this point, and I just use 1,000. You can use 800. It doesn't matter. I just don't want to be limited by like if I'm going through stuff that I'm stuck at like 20. Like give me as many of these big bad boys as possible. So now we have 5,000 lineups with Cooper Kupp captain, right? These are, hey, maybe, the 3,978th lineup is just horrendous. Might be, let's just go down. This is 1,000. Let's look at the top 4,000 lineups, right? We go to the very bottom, 3,908. Cooper Kupp, Williams, Stafford, Tutu Atwell, Robinson, Powell. Probably a horrific lineup. 45,100 salary being used. Horrific lineup, right? We're never using that. But at least I can see that lineup being made. Okay. Like, same thing with like baseball. Whenever people are like, whenever you look at like baseball slates, like a 10K baseball slate, there's like 3 million fucking lineups that could possibly be built, right? Nobody's ever playing that many. But I like to just have that at my disposal when I'm raking lineups, looking through lineups and stuff. Also, I just like to have them highlighted on here because I'm colorblind, so it helps me just see, who I'm looking at. Okay, so at this point, we're going to run the Sims, and we're going to see what is being given to me once we look here. Now, yet again, if I'm running Cooper Kupp captain, that means that Stafford, and we're building, whatever's happening here. Also, we're half an hour away from the slate, so I'll try and get this stuff done in the next like 7 minutes or whatever. His primary target of Matt Stafford. Williams can and or may still be scoring well on the ground, okay? But Cooper Kupp, 8-target game, possible touchdown, possible, from like 85 to fucking 120 yards, right? Like that would be the outcome that'd be ideal, right? So what's happening in those situations? Well, Tutu Atwell, Robinson, or whoever else is on the team, and then Puka is like not going off, right? As I've stated, looked at props and stuff, and I mean, I can look at DraftKings really quick. They might have player props up for Puka. Let's take a real quick look. I have to sign out, so it'll make me sign it because I do not have betting here. in Texas. Let's see. Passing props. That's I need receiving. Jones, Patterson, Cooper. Where are we at? Do we even have Puka anywhere? Puka. Favorite for right around 20 yards. We're not looking at anything over 50. Anywhere from like 25 to like 40. That's not bad at all. What is his receptions at right now? We have Puka, yeah, still over under 2.5. So like I'm not playing Puka. Okay, so don't have to worry about that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've already lost the slate right now before we even built any lineups, right? We go here, and I look at exposure, and it's 5,000 lineups. Well, top 1,000 lineups, right? All with the same captain. Okay, so we're only building with 5 positions. Who is the favorite in those situations? It's Jones. Okay. Now, what's interesting is now, since I'm not playing him as the captain, he's much more appealing because in the captain, we're dealing with all those lineups being built with him. We need him to, completely, stop the shit out of like Jefferson or the other teams or whatever. Now, him and Jefferson are like a much closer comparison, right? Even if Jefferson goes off, now it defaults like, hey, Aaron Jones is cheaper. This thing is telling me that, hey, I probably want to play Aaron Jones, right? Let's go ahead and just change this and make sure that we are on that one. And like, duh, yeah, Matt Stafford, duh, right? Actually, because we had Cooper Kupp in the captain, and I was like, oh, we're building with 5 people. Wrong, incorrect. We're building with 4 positions because you're playing Stafford with Cooper Kupp, right? Okay, so we're past that. So now I can like start looking through these lineups. I just want to see where we're at. So like Jefferson, like this. Oh God, what a terror! Like I would never play this line, right? Like I would never ever play this lineup. I would never ever do that. 25 Minnesota, expect a total of like 23 for the Rams. I'm never playing a lineup like this, right? So like not doing that. You see Jones and Darnold, weird combination, unless Darnold just doing drop off passes to Jones. Probably not. And yet again, we're sorting by ROI, so it's showing lineups that in the $50 $1,900 person, hey, this is going to pay off well if you play it because like nobody in their right mind's playing freaking Darnold and Jones together, right? Like, of course. So I'll go through it. I'll start looking through of what changes in the win rate, the projected total, and the cash rate of these. So we'll look at win rate first. Like what changes here? Who jumps up? Win rate, Aaron Jones. Okay. We look at cash rate really fast. Yet again, I'm not trying to just like, this is like cash rate of, whatever percentage of that contest is being paid out, top 20% or whatever. But I use this to gauge like who's like a good play, like any big changes here, and the value changes, but the guys up top change. So the win rate and cash rate or the players rather, seem pretty similar. Let's look at just raw projections really fast. Who changes here? So we're seeing that Jones hasn't changed at all, no matter what we're sorting by. So like Jones seems like a good play, right? I want to just look at dupes really fast because this will show me what lineups I typically be looking at. Now, yet again, this is showing like a negative return ROI because I'm going with a contrarian captain build, whatever, right? But 11 dupes projected for this lineup. So like this lineup's probably a good lineup. Don't know if I'm going to play it. Haven't gotten to that point yet, but probably a good lineup, right? We're looking at lineups that I would probably all consider. And we're seeing the Jones and Daniel or Darnold a lot, which is very, very interesting. Now, this is something that looks appealing, right? Darnold and Jefferson. Robinson, not a fan of the 200, probably wouldn't go there. So what I'm going to start doing, I'm going to start removing these jabronis down here because I don't I don't really feel like I got to take that unnecessary risk on this slate. I'll leave Oliver on there. Now we're at like a 2.4 projection. That's not most likely going to play Jones, so I'm not probably going to use Cam Akers. And so now we're like, we got all the Jabroni lineups out of the way. So now we can start really looking through without like having to putt at the very bottom of the seams here. And you're going to notice, I'm going to assume that we're probably going to see more Jones without Darnold. It's going to be one or the other. We're not going to see Jones and Darnold together, right? Which is what we're seeing because we're getting rid of the putt play at the bottom to fit both those guys in, right? We're not using the $200 guy. So, you're not going to see both Sam Darnold and Jones or both Darnold and Jefferson, which is typically kind of how I prefer to like play. It's very rare, unless like it's two behemoth quarterbacks or one quarterback is just severely mispriced. I don't really like having the two quarterbacks in. It's just more of a safer line, but I haven't been on contest with those two. Although, like, these lineups seem fine. Although I'm not really high on the Debo Robinson stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the 33. Got Jabrodi's out of the way. We got Rams, Naylor, 84. That's pretty substantial. That's way off. Yeah, we're truly 10 points off. So if I'm like 10 points off something, I really, really don't like that. Just where I'm at, not a rule, but just things that I've noticed over the course of doing stuff that I don't really like. Projected more by 9. So what I'm going to start comparing are where are the Jefferson lines. Yet again, this is ROI for the 33 standard deviation. Where are these lines with Jefferson versus the lines with Jones? Jones is cheaper, similar projection. Jefferson has a higher ceiling. He's more expensive, but typically a little bit more upside in those lineups and stuff. So I just want to see really fast. I don't really have a rhyme or reason why I do this. I just want to see kind of where we're at the top 100. So we see 7, 8, 13, 30, 57, 69, 111. Probably going to see Jones and more. 14, 16, 21, 50, 54, 61, 70, 71, 80, 82, 96. So, I mean, kind of where I'm at. Seems like Cooper Kupp, Aaron Jones, Matt Stafford. I've determined those three will be in the lineup, right? Okay, so now, at this step, we have 24 minutes left. I now got to find what I want to do with the last three guys, okay? And this is what I do for, like, every slate. We've been here for, like, 40 minutes now, and this is just where I'm at. Also, like, Jimmy, you're like, oh, Puka won't see full complement of stats per. I haven't even, like, looked at that stuff. This is just me doing my own thing. Like, I never expected him to do that at all. Like, right? Let's see. I'll be live for another 3 minutes. So now what I'm doing is, where are we at for the final three guys, right? And you might be like, wow, you got a lot of red. You got a lot of clutter on here. Well, I got a huge TV. Like, I use 2 TVs as my screen. So, like, I could read this stuff, like, stupid easy. But I apologize if it's, like, a lot for you if you have trouble seeing it or whatever. So, secondly, we have Tutu Atwell as the highest exposure rate at this point now. So, I then start looking at where are the 2-2 lines. What is changing here? Okay. What are these lineups looking like? And typically, if I'm having a kicker, especially in this day and age, let me just check these kickers really fast. Might be a ancient way to do it, but I just want to see what is Richard doing for the Vikings. Will, what are you doing recently? 15, 16, 7, 12, 11, 4. Okay. Look at Cardi for the Rams. 2, 1, 15, 9, 4, 9. Okay, so Richard, Reinhard, whatever, William, the kicker for the Vikings, right? He then moves to the other exposure rate, or like, the most exposed at this point, because now we're at like a 2v2, right? Whatever. Where does he go if I take 2-2 out? Like, is it just him? Yeah. So it's these two together, or it's these two like kind of back and forth. And so this would indicate that either Tutu Atwell and Will together seem to be a good lineup, or doing a 1v1 between these two would potentially be a good decision for me to do. And so what I'll do really fast, I just want to check to see what changes if I remove one of these guys. So then we start falling in line, not the hundreds. Go ahead and remove 2-2 and add William. 50, 70, 97, 147, 175, which is a pretty dangerous zone for me. I typically don't like playing lineups this far out of the top 100. So, I'm kind of answering my own questions as I like go through, which yet again, is basically just hand building with like, additional steps. This is showing that using a 1v1 between Richard or Tutu and choosing Richard would probably be the bad decision. Okay. So just from here, it seems like you want to go Tutu and or both Tutu and Will Richard and stuff like that, which is probably what I'm considering doing. So like, just kind of going through and building and looking through, I've kind of like centralized on kind of where I'm at. It seems like a 2-2 and a William is probably what I want to be because we don't really see a lot of exposure down here. We're not really playing. I mean, it's going to be difficult to find. Like if you find Sam Darnold at this point, double 2 tight ends, pretty ugly. So like I'm not playing Darnold at this point. So I can remove him. I mentioned Anderson probably or Addison being a good play. Where's this at? Tutu Atwell, Johnson, Anson. So like if I was to play Jordan, I'm giving up on William and Tutu, which has shown to be probably a better scoring type of build. So I might have to give up on the Jordan. And just say, hey, man, if he beats me, he beats me. And that, I mean, I think I'm pretty much kind of found what I'm doing. My last like guy in is like whatever this stuff says. But this is how I just go through and build and look at stuff, right? I don't know if I'm playing this line. I don't know if I'm playing, this line ranked 322nd. Don't know yet. Haven't gone through. I'll decide that, off stream. But this is how I use SaberSim. And I mean, additionally, if I had more time, like, I mean, we're kind of not tight, but we're 20 minutes away. Typically, if I'm on my own, I'll compare these two contests together and see what lineups are performing better in each lineup. And if I find a lineup that shows a high win rate, which at that point you're dealing with like 0.12% or whatever. If I see one that has a high win rate in both contests, the high cash rate, a high ROI, a high, not a high projection, but something that isn't like 10 points off of what the highest projected lineups are, that's usually the lineup that I end up going with. I'll see if you guys have any more questions before I log off. But this is how I go through, how I build, et cetera, and stuff. I don't see any more comments or anything, so I do believe that's time for me to go. I'm sorry I'm like in the dark, but it is nighttime here in Houston. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Best of luck. And when Cooper Kupp breaks his leg or doesn't do anything stupid, or like Puka, scores a touchdown, just know I'm no longer watching the game. See you guys later. Thank you for watching and hanging out.